Story 1. Am I the asshole for wanting my family to be at my son's birthday parties during grief? 2 years ago, I had my first and so far only child. 3 months after the birth of my son, my nephew, who was 2 months shy of turning 6, passed away in a vehicle accident with my sister who survived. These past 2 years have been devastating for my sister, my mother, and I. We have battled the grief of missing the first child born into our little family. It had always just been my mom, my older sister, and I growing up. He was my sister's only child, and they both lived with my mom, who worked while my sister stayed home to raise him. My mother, his grandmother, took on a father role to my nephew. When my nephew passed, I was a brand new mother of a 3-month-old baby. I had to battle postpartum, along with grief, and these past 2 years have been the hardest time of my life. The bittersweetness of navigating a new life, of being a SA chum, to the child I always wanted, along with grieving my son's older cousin, who would have been like a big brother to him. During these past 2 years, my sister has stayed home, mostly in her room, and has spiraled into a dark and deep depression, which is absolutely understandable. But she hasn't tried to pick her life back up to continue living alongside the grief. My mother, on the other hand, who was like the father to my nephew, has gotten a new job. She goes out with friends and has tried to continue living, although she is also in a deep depression due to grief. My son has now had 2 birthdays. His entire life has somewhat been overshadowed by the death of his cousin. I absolutely understand why it's been that way so far, and although I've struggled in wanting my sister to embrace her nephew, to help her with her guilt and grief, and she hasn't allowed that, I've been very understanding and empathetic with her, since I don't have the level of grief that she does, as the parent who has lost their child. My mother has embraced her second grandchild and loves spending time with him every week and FaceTimes him daily. My question is, am I the asshole for wanting my mom and sister to start attending my son's birthday party celebrations? For his first 2 parties, my mom and sister would show up much earlier in the day or the day before to see him. But once his party started, they left. They say they can't stand being around other children because it makes them miss my nephew too much and that it's hard for them. I have respected this the past 2 years, but I informed my mother that come my son's 3rd birthday, I would like them both to start attending the actual event. I feel this way because my son will be at the age where he will be aware his only aunt and grandmother aren't there to celebrate with the rest of our close friends and their children, whom he is very close to. I don't want my son to wonder why the cousin he never met overshadows his family being fully present for him and his development milestones. This could possibly lead to not attending school graduations, parties throughout the year that we host, that they already don't attend, and especially the rest of his birthdays. Should I expect my sister and mom to push through their grief to attend birthdays, just as I did when I had to go to my friends' children's birthday parties? It was extremely hard for me at first to go to a child's birthday because I knew my nephew should have been there with me. But I pushed through and went because it wasn't my friend's child's fault that I missed my nephew. I was there to celebrate them, and so I did. Now, it's much easier. I just want my mom and sister to do the same for my son and future children. Story 2. Am I the asshole for not wanting more than 5 people to attend my birthday? I will be having a birthday soon, and since I don't have a lot of friends, I decided to not do a party and instead just go to an amusement park. Since I am a very shy, introverted person, I feel the most comfortable when I am with my close family members, meaning my parents and my 2 brothers. I learned that about myself when my family and I went to a trip with my uncles, aunts, and cousins. It was when I realized that I don't function well with a lot of people always around me. Also because I am not close to them, nor do I talk to them a lot. So in the whole trip, I felt so awkward and uncomfortable. The first thing I told my mom was to only invite our main family members. The only person I wouldn't mind coming to my birthday was my brother's girlfriend, since I really like her and is a sweetheart. But other than her, I just wanted only the people I felt comfortable with to attend, since I wanted to enjoy my day. Everything seemed to be going well until recently when my mom told me that she was talking to her close friend, and she told her that her 2 daughters might also go. My mom didn't even ask me beforehand, and just agreed that she will let her know when we will be going so they can pass by and join us. I got mad at her because I told her very specifically what I didn't want. Yet, it's the first thing she does. I told her that I wouldn't be comfortable if they went, because that was just who I am, whether she liked it or not. She then started to ask me why it mattered so much, and about what was wrong with them going. If I had talked to them before, when I was like 9 years old, I don't dislike them, but I just don't want to be with them on my birthday. She then put her hand on her head and looked disappointed in me for saying that I didn't want them to go. I started to feel guilty and shameful after that, because it left me wondering if there was something wrong with me. I am sure my mom thinks she is doing the best for me, but I know that I will not be in the best mood if people I barely know are there with us for my whole birthday. I am aware that I should socialize more, but for just one day of a special celebration, I want to be comfortable, because for my graduation party, I also didn't want people I don't talk to a lot to come yet. It happened because my mom decided on it. I let it pass that one time though, since I thought I was being too mean. But I am being more strict with what I want for this celebration. I just want to spend my time with the people I enjoy spending it with the most. That's enough to make myself happy. Yet my mom doesn't seem to understand that and thinks I am in the wrong. Should I just let her invite her friend's family? Am I really an asshole? Story 3. Am I the asshole for not wanting my aunt to invite her 3 sons to my birthday party? I, 20 female, have no idea what I'm supposed to do. For some background, and I mean way in the background, my father, 49, a male, and I have never been very close. He's been a drunk my whole life and has associated with people who can't stop partying since I was little. I was around alcohol all the time, and I grew up thinking that was normal. When my mom, 50, female, and dad got divorced, I told myself I'd never want to turn out like he did. So I haven't really had a proper drink ever. My dad and I hadn't spoken in a few years back in 2022, but I got invited to his side of the family's Christmas party. I had just gotten out of a physically abusive relationship and thought it would be nice to reconnect with my family after I'd been separated from them. At first, it was a lot of fun. I got there right as it started, so I got accustomed to how many people were showing up as time went on. I didn't want to throw myself into a party that would already be loud and, knowing my family, probably full of alcohol. My Aunt Debbie, no clue how old she is, showed up about 2 hours into the party with her 3 sons, my cousins, Adam, Mark, and Jared in tow. No ages listed because I have no idea how old they are, but they're all older than 21. 2 of my cousins brought their girlfriends, whose names and ages I can't remember. The best way I could describe her boys is redneck. We used to be close when we were kids, but we got older and grew apart. According to my Aunt Debbie, they'd been pre-gaming this party already and had more booze in their trucks. Some of the other attendees were outside smoking, so I thought I'd rather be out there where I could get some air than inside, where it was too loud for me to think. I spent about an hour outside with the quieter crowd, and eventually the people inside started to trickle out onto the porch to join us. Adam and Mark's girlfriends had been out on the porch with me for a little bit, and the conversation slowly drifted into our experiences as women. Mark's girlfriend told me she'd been drugged at a bar in Tampa before. Adam's girlfriend shared a similar story, and I told them I was terribly sorry they'd been through that. I'd never shared anything similar to that experience, but I told them I'd just gotten out of a relationship where my ex-boyfriend used to hit me. My cousins were listening at that point and begged me to tell them who he was so they could teach him a lesson. Mark's girlfriend specifically wanted to know what happened, and I'd mentioned that my ex only ever hit me when we would do the sideways tango. I'll admit, I'm a try everything once kind of girl, so I had asked him once during it if he'd hit me. I didn't like it and told him to stop almost immediately. Every single time after he'd hit me, if I did something he didn't like. This spurred a variety of questions from the boys, and when they found out I asked him for it once and that I was too scared to continue speaking up about how I didn't like it, they started laughing and claiming that it was my fault because I was asking for it. At that point, their girlfriends tried desperately to get them to stop talking because I was obviously uncomfortable, but I ended up saying my goodbyes and leaving the party. I never heard anything from any of them, so I doubt they remember it. They were drinking too much and started smoking weed at that point too, so I'd be surprised if they did jump to today, 2 years later. My birthday's coming up and I have sent out the invite list. I invited my dad and his mother, my grandmother, and we invited my Aunt Debbie. Well, she said she'd be in attendance and said her 3 sons and their girlfriends would be there. I did not invite them. I don't want them there. And my mom is telling me to just drop it. The party won't be very long, only a few hours. But I suspect there will be an after party. I told my mom, who sent the guest list out, that the boys were not invited, and neither were their girlfriends, and I'd say something to my aunt if I have to. She's upset about it too because she knows what happened at that party, but she's asking me not to say anything. What should I do? Do I say nothing and stick it out? Do I tell my aunt what happened?